predict the future accurately, either in terms of tech or political movements or just something along those lines, because it feels pretty dead on. Yeah.
Well, I honestly don't think of art as prophecy. That's not really the purpose of it. I'm usually just recording in a way what is around me. I mean, there's been some reviews that talk about the sinister futurism of this movie, and I think, well, okay, Tesla, yeah. But really, it's just if that was the character, he would be using his phone the way he did. He's a high-tech entrepreneur. He'd be intrigued by the Tesla, the first sort of viable luxury electric vehicle, a very important car actually in the history of vehicles, and so it seems very realistic to me, not at all. And it was the same long ago when I was doing video drone and stuff. It really felt that I was just sort of being, as an artist, you maybe have a slightly more sensitive antenna than more other people, or at least you pay more attention to the ones that you have. And you're sensing things in the zeitgeist, in the context that you live. But I'm not really intending to, and besides, that would be your job, to count the number of times that I could do. That would be so boring for me.
No, but but again, so where was the jumping off point for this time? Because I assume you do a fair amount of research on, if you do decide to have a storyline that involves technology, that it's something you well, this is only, if it's not happening now, it could happen very soon. Because I could see people today, and maybe even in this room, sign up for this, to have this happen. So.
Well, I do like to mention to audiences as part of, I don't get paid for this. I get paid to make the movie, but talking about it, I don't get paid. But I do think that I could sell some franchises. And you could start with just one in your backyard, one there, and then gradually expand the empire, So if I'm willing to sell these franchises to finance my next movie, you could in fact create this right now. In fact, when people ask me where I would like to be buried, I always mention that in Toronto there is a Walk of Fame. It's sort of like Hollywood Boulevard, and various celebrities of whatever kind get a plaque in the sidewalk. And I was thinking that I would like to be buried under that plaque and have the sidewalk be plexiglass so that people walking over can look down and say, oh yeah, he's coming along.
Lenin.
But not like Lenin, because Lenin's been in Bonn for 100 years and he looks the same. I will be different.
A lot has been made. A lot of people have written about the fact that Vincent Cassel resembles you to a certain degree in this film, and that I know that you haven't.
It's the hair.
The hair's everything. Yeah, but it begs the question, because I know you told me yesterday that you have never said that this film was autobiographical, but a lot of people have assumed that it is because of the subject matter.
Yes.
But is any part of it?
Oh yeah, sure. It was definitely induced by the death of my wife of 43 years and the feelings that I had about that. Many of those ideas surprised me at the time. And 5 or 6 years later, it took to percolate and to come up out of the computer as a screenplay. But as soon as you start to write it, it becomes fiction. The characters start to take on their own life. They start to push you around. They say things you didn't want them to say, but they insist. They do things with each other that you didn't expect them to do. And that's when you know that you're creating something alive. And at that point, it's no longer biography or autobiography. It's a fiction. It's a new thing.
One of the things I noticed, even the first time I watched it, was that it's funny. A lot of times, this movie is has a few laughs in it, and I'm wondering, I want to say, like, talk about the importance of humor in a story about grief, and where just in your life, in your films, humor is almost always a part of it in some way.
Well, I mean, yeah, all of my movies are funny in some way, and this is in fact a rom-com, basically. I really think we have evolved to have a sense of humor in order to survive. It's really a survival strategy of evolution that we have humor, because our brains are very capable of all kinds of difficult, crazy things, and without a sense of humor, I really don't know how you could survive. So that's my take on it. But in fact, I don't force it. It just, once these characters come alive, they just happen to be funny, you know. And they tell jokes and they play with each other, and it's always been a natural thing for me. It's not like I say, okay, now it's not like every 5 pages there needs to be a joke or something like that.
It's getting kind of heavy here. That's what
no, it just comes naturally, you know. Yeah.
That's great. Another thing that you mentioned, like a survival instinct. I feel like people who fall into that rabbit hole of conspiracy theories are also sort of deflecting reality to us because their reality is too heavy for them. But I'm wondering, conspiracy theories and just paranoia in general are a big factor in a lot of your films. This one, there's so many theories, we're not even sure which one is if any of them are accurate, if that's actually what's going on here. But again, tell me about the usefulness in your films and in life that the conspiracy theories hold.
Well, the polemicist, journalist, Christopher Hitchens said, "Death causes religion." And I think that is, in 3 words, he's really summed up the existence of religion as a phenomenon in our planet. It's every religion promises a kind of evasion from the reality of death. And it's because death is a very difficult thing to accept. If you are like me, you're an atheist, you're an existentialist, you really feel that death is the end of your life. It'll be oblivion, there won't be heaven where you meet everybody that you loved and so on. Very difficult to imagine your non-existence, your oblivion, and to accept it emotionally. It's not easy. So it occurred to me that death causes conspiracy as well, that it is an evasion, it's a way to evade certain very difficult realities. And it gives you, if you're a conspiracist, it gives you a way of being superior to other people. It gives you, it ennobles you in a way. You can see things that other people can't see. You see through the facade, you see what's really going on, and it gives you a sense of empowerment and so on. And it is, in a way, it's a way of evading certain very difficult realities of the human condition. And I've been talking a lot lately. So, as an artist, you really are there to examine, to discuss with yourself, and then later your audience, the human condition, what it is, how it's lived, and so you inevitably, to me, end up discussing the big things like sex, death, love, non-existence, things like that. Light things, funny things.
You mentioned like religion, and it made me think. This film made me think of burial traditions in different cultures, religions, and it made me realize, because I feel like the shroud could become a burial tradition at some point in this universe, and but burial traditions are really for the people that are left behind. They're not for the dead people. Don't know that they're being buried like that, and I don't know if it's a comfort. I guess it all goes back to that idea that we all want to be buried with our loved ones, maybe, and don't want to be left behind.
No, because they'd nag us, you know. They would continue to nag us and bother us and ask us for things, so we don't want to be buried with them. But I mean, at the beginning of the movie, you know, there's a discussion. You see the body of Becca floating in a kind of chamber, and over her is hovering this kind of firefly soul, and this is the soul illuminating her body. And it's in the Jewish tradition, you don't cremate a body because the soul needs time to accept that it is finished with that body, and that it has to separate from that body that it has lived in for all those many years. Ultimately, the soul, as the body decomposes, accepts that this person no longer exists and can then ascend to heaven. This is the Jewish tradition. As an atheist, I don't take that literally, but I did think it was a beautiful metaphor for the emotional necessity to find a way to separate. And it occurred to me, really just in talking to people about the film, that in a way, Karsh is that soul. He is that firefly soul that is hovering over Becca's body and needing it to decompose and needing to see it decompose so that he can accept that she no longer exists as she did before.
You know, people